Snow has started to spread across large parts of the Balkan Peninsula this evening. As discussed in the previous video, this development was somewhat expected, especially for Bulgaria, where winter is now making a rather surprising return in terms of snowfall accumulation. From a synoptic perspective, this episode is driven by a fairly intense Mediterranean cyclone, with its central pressure dropping to around 995 hectopascals. Beginning this evening, this system starts impacting the Balkan region precisely as it encounters a very cold polar air mass, transported southward by a cyclone located over northern European Russia, which we have already discussed earlier. This interaction is key. As the Mediterranean cyclone advances eastward, it taps into significant moisture, while the incoming polar air ensures that temperatures remain below freezing across large areas. As a result, widespread precipitation is rapidly turning into snowfall, even at low elevations, creating a distinctly wintry landscape over much of the region. The southernmost extent of this cold air mass reaches northern Greece. However, the most favorable thermal conditions for sustained snowfall are found across Bulgaria. Here, snow accumulation is expected to become particularly notable, with up to 15 centimeters of fresh snow possible in lowland areas. Elsewhere in the Balkans, snow cover is also expected to develop, though with somewhat lower totals. Parts of southeastern Serbia, eastern North Macedonia, and southern Romania are likely to receive up to 10 centimeters of snowfall locally. These amounts may temporarily disrupt daily activities and reinforce the wintry feel across the region. That said, this Mediterranean cyclone is moving relatively fast. Because it is not blocked in place, snowfall accumulations will remain lower than they could have been under a stalled or slow-moving system. In a blocked scenario, snow totals could have increased dramatically, especially across Bulgaria and neighboring regions. Despite the winter conditions over the next couple of days, this setup will not last. A strong and persistent Atlantic circulation remains active and will begin evacuating the polar air mass starting Wednesday. As milder Atlantic air pushes eastward, temperatures will rise quickly. By Friday, daytime temperatures in lowland areas, particularly where sunshine breaks through, are expected to reach 13 to 14 degrees Celsius. This rapid transition from winter back to mild conditions highlights the highly dynamic nature of the current atmospheric circulation across Europe. While Eastern Europe experiences a brief winter outbreak, Southwestern Europe tells a very different story. This part of the continent remains under the influence of highly changeable and often severe weather, characterized by strong winds and frequent precipitation. As Atlantic cyclones follow trajectories that are more southerly than usual, they continuously transport cold air cores toward the Mediterranean basin. There, these cold air intrusions encounter warm air advections originating from lower latitudes. The resulting thermal contrast creates an environment highly favorable for convection and the formation of extensive precipitation bands. Portugal and Spain remain under an elevated flood risk. Repeated rounds of heavy rainfall, combined with strong winds, continue to affect the region. Coastal areas are particularly exposed, with wind gusts making maritime conditions extremely hazardous. In the mountainous regions of central Iberia, snowfall will also occur, with locally significant accumulations. However, frequent alternations between warm and cold air masses will lead to rapid snowmelt, limiting the long-term persistence of the snow cover. Atlantic cyclones themselves are not advancing deep into continental Europe. Instead, they stall over the Atlantic, sending successive cold air pulses toward the Mediterranean. These pulses favor repeated episodes of Mediterranean cyclogenesis. At the same time, warm air transported from North Africa is gradually displacing the polar air mass, pushing it back toward Russia. This process explains the transient nature of winter conditions across southeastern Europe. The stagnation of Atlantic cyclones is linked to the persistence of a strong anticyclonic regime over Scandinavia and Russia. Although this high-pressure system retreats from Ukraine and Romania, it remains firmly established over Russia and gradually expands westward toward Scandinavia. This configuration forces Icelandic cyclones onto a much more southerly path, crossing France and the Iberian Peninsula instead of northern Europe. As a result, Europe remains clearly divided into two contrasting circulation regimes. Eastern Europe continues to be influenced by a Scandinavian Ural blocking pattern, dominated by high pressure, while Western Europe remains under continuous pressure from Atlantic cyclones. In this broader context, Central Europe experiences relatively calmer conditions. Apart from some passing rain in southern areas, the weather remains generally more stable. Germany and Poland may see occasional snowfall, but these events are expected to be brief and limited in extent. After a short lull, Italy will once again be affected by severe weather. Two Mediterranean cyclones are expected to impact the region, one around Wednesday and another toward Friday. These systems will bring widespread rainfall and strong winds, with snowfall developing at elevations above 1,600 meters, particularly across the Alps. Importantly, these two cyclones will not only affect Italy but also parts of the Balkan Peninsula. On the western-facing slopes of the Apennine Mountains, the Dinaric Alps, and the Pindus Mountains, precipitation totals may reach up to 100 millimeters, significantly increasing the risk of localized flooding and hydrological impacts. Overall, the European weather pattern remains highly dynamic, shaped by the ongoing battle between persistent high-pressure systems in the east and relentless Atlantic cyclones in the west, a contrast that continues to define the continent's weather in the days ahead.
If you like what you have seen, we would appreciate if you would leave a like and maybe subscribe to our channel.